Three guys who combined to play 15 seasons in the National Football League trenches. Well, two guys. And Mackey, who didn't do shit. This is the O-Line Committee.
And grind, boys. Rise and grind. Booney, I don't even know if Booney slept. He's running kids around to hockey practice and games. Jeremiah traveling all over the place. And maybe Myles Garrett and Cooper Kupp traveling all over the place after the last 48 hours news. Good morning, gentlemen. It's the O-Line Committee.
Phil. Great morning.
It's a good
Boone,
morning.
you sound great, by the way. You sound great
listen,
right
everyone
I've
keeps
been watching too
asking
much of that RFK inauguration stuff.
That guy is so hard to listen to because he keeps like.
But
You know, it's like I feel like of all the reasons why people are polarizing politically, I feel like his voice would have been impossible to listen to as president for 4 years.
For sure.
Listen, man, we're just going to disqualify you based on your voice. Sorry.
How about you? How about? I was like, God, there's no way this guy's going to lead this fucking country, is there? Jesus, they're really going to laugh at us.
Oh, man.
Yeah, no, the voice goes every time this year, and I swear to God, every day everyone asks me, are you sick? Like, listen, I can't say this again. I turn the volume to the fucking max, and they still have to hear me over the max volume. We talk about it all the time. We create chaos. The only way to create chaos is to shut your ears off. The only way to do that is blast music so goddamn loud you can't hear shit and then have me yell at you. And I will say this, Monday, we got in a lot of trouble. I get a phone call. It's Bill. Plays it off like nothing first, right? I'm like, all right, Bill,
His
cool.
boss, by the way.
Well, not for partner. I don't have bosses. I don't ever have a boss. So he goes, hey, quick question. What kind of music were you listening to today? I go, Bon Jovi? He goes, I know you're lying. I go, no, I swear it was 80s hard rock. He goes, really? Because we got a lot of videos sent over to us today from people that the vulgar language was just obscene. I go, yeah, we may have been listening to Future Radio. We had some new kids come in. Had to show that we were cool. He was like, okay, I was just making sure. Doctors called. They were super pissed.
I swear, it was Poison. It was AC/DC.
Well, some
I
days
don't know
it
what
is.
you're talking
If it's a run day, we listen to like rock music.
Thunderstruck.
Yeah, dude, we're all about the 80s. But it's funny because I was thinking about it. I go, man, could you imagine a doctor upstairs doing surgery and then all of a sudden Future pops on in the background and you're like, what the fuck is that? Oh, it's the guys downstairs beating the shit out of each other. They'd be like, dude, what is going on here?
I love how these like normal civilians are walking by.
Oh,
just one,
dude,
And there's
one
big windows, right?
a
Like
big
it's like,
window.
Don't. I always tell them they need to put a sign up that says "Don't feed the animals."
Oh, it'd be so
right?
funny.
And then, but I mean, all I can think about was all those viral videos that are going around now. It's like doctor doing surgery and hears Fetty Wap through the JBL speaker, right? I want to be mine, baby.
Dude, it was amazing. There's this lady. She's standing in the corner. She's taking a video with her phone. And one of the guys goes, Boone, I think this is the one that gets us in trouble. And I was like, I don't give a fuck. It's Monday. Let's go. They were like, oh, this guy's cool. Definitely got in trouble.
Everybody loves the National Football League, and everyone wants to know how the sausage is made. You don't want to know how the sausage is made 90% of the time.
I will say this. We've already had one guy walk in because he liked what we were doing so much that he wanted to come shake our hands. He was like, I just want to shake your guys' hands. This looks awesome. And one of the guys looks at him and is like, who the fuck are you? And he's like, no, never mind. I'll leave.
I'm Bob.
I'm like, three of these guys have their shirts off. I don't think I would have walked in this room if I looked like you. That was not smart.
Get out, Bob.
Get out.
I'm Larry. I'm just a huge fan of the National Football League.
He was so excited. He was like, I just got to shake your guys' hands. And the kids were like, no, get away. I was like, dude, I don't know. You get out.
Oh, my gosh.
Did you sign the waiver?
To even walk in the door, you need to sign a waiver.
Not smart.
Anything you see in here, you never saw. So, all right, boys, couple things. We're going to see what we have time for on this episode. I'd love to, if we can carve out time, I do have a Ben Johnson creativity reel, and we might just turn that into a separate film breakdown episode. But two huge things over the last 48 hours. Yep. We had Cooper Kupp the Rams have essentially told Cooper Kupp, like, hey, thanks for the memories. You haven't really been elite in 3 or 4 years, so we're going to your
out
cap
of here
hit
immediately.
So we're gonna, they said we're going to look for a place to trade him immediately. We'll see. But the first one we're going to talk about is Myles Garrett, the most polite breakup letter ever sent by a player to his team on social media, essentially telling Cleveland, thanks, but I'm 29 years old now, and I'm seeing all these teams play high-level playoff football, and I want some of that before my career's over. So he has demanded a trade. Boone, you are the Cleveland, Ohio representative on the show. Myles Garrett, one of the best pass rushers in our lifetimes in the NFL, still in his prime, demanding a trade. What do you make of it? I'm looking at different odds reports. There's like 15-ish teams.
Oh, dude, all 31 are in, right? Like, not just 15. All of them are in. Like, even the shitty ones are like, what do we got to do to get good real quick? I'm going to say this. I want to know if there's any way that Jimmy Haslam will sell that team. And if he does, will you stay, Myles? Because you're about the only thing Cleveland's got right now. I mean, honestly, this city has been wanting a good football team for so long. I can't blame Myles Garrett. And it was funny because Florio did a big story the other day. Did you see that? Talking about like the trades and how it's like, let's talk about the trades. And he makes a great point. When a player asks for a trade, people are like, you son of a bitch. How dare you? But it's like, you don't know what that guy goes through every day. And you don't know the struggles this dude's doing. And he's beating the shit out of himself for absolutely nothing. Nothing. Like, people are so mad at the Browns right now. Why? Because the whole Deshaun thing. We're not stupid. People don't want to pay shit like that, and they don't have to deal with it. And now at the same time, you're talking about moving your team from downtown to Brook Park. Dude, are you fucking stupid? Have you been to Brook Park? Everyone's like, oh, it'll be great.
I have not, no. Is it like a suburb, or what are we talking about?
Yeah, it's a tiny little city. They're like, you know what they're going to do? They're going to tear down the Ford plant, and they're going to build a whole new stadium because this one's cursed. I'm like, no, I just think your owners are stupid. I don't know what else to say. I mean, they paid Deshaun, and now your number one player is like, I love everybody. I love all of you, and I love that everything here is free for me, and I don't have to do anything, but I'm leaving. I can't deal with this.
I'm looking at his contract structure right now.
They're gonna let him go.
The hard thing's gonna be if you sell the farm for Myles Garrett on a trade. I think as an owner, you're gonna have to put some cash on the table to convert some of this contract into bonus up front, or else you're gonna murder your salary cap.
What's his hit this year?
36.
But that's the hit for Cleveland, right?
That's the dead cap for Cleveland, but that doesn't count dead cap wise if you trade him, because then you take the but his base is only 1.2 this year.
So it's a massive salary.
Right?
Yeah,
so
but
it's a
there's
massive.
he signed a 5-year.
He signed a 5-year 125 with
What was the signing?
21 million to sign, and then 100 guaranteed. Right, so. I don't know. It'd be interesting because.
So wait, he signed a 5-year, $100 million deal.
Spotrac has this.
$125 million deal.
Spotrac has this, and I wish I would have pulled it up here. But any team acquiring him in a trade would be on the hook for, like, I want to say $46 million over 2 years in salary and bonus responsibility and cap responsibility. But I think the guaranteed portion of his contract is running out. I'm going to pull this up as we have this conversation.
Well, yeah, if it's
but
5 years,
he'd be in line for like a restructured deal as part of this trade, I would think. But still, like, no matter what, whether it's a restructure or the current deal, someone's going to pay him $22-25 million a year in his prime still at age 29. And if you're looking at some of the comps, so Khalil Mack, like 6 years ago, was traded to the Bears. Now, he was a little younger. I think he was maybe 27 years old, but that was 2 first-round picks.
Yep.
So, I mean, you got to be, and I do have a list of like 3 or 4 teams that I think should absolutely do this that I want to run by you guys. So
I'm looking back at his awards since 2021, right? 2021 first team All-Pro, 2022 second team All NFL. Right, 2023 All-Pro, All-NFL, Defensive Player of the Year. 2024 All-Pro, All-NFL.
That's wild.
Right,
You're gonna trade whatever you can for him. I don't care what.
And by the way, he has over 100 sacks in 7+ years of his career, and those numbers don't even tell you how dominant he is. Because remember that clip from, was it 2 seasons ago?
The Titans.
And the Titans had 2 dudes following him, shadowing him as he went back and forth across the line. Yeah.
No, he's worth it.
Your
worth every
prep
penny.
starts with him during.
I mean, and
during
you're
a
on a
game
team. You're on a team that predominantly plays from behind, right? And so you're not really getting to pin your ears back in pass rush as much as you would like to, like you would be on a team like the Chiefs or
Don't
the
say that.
Eagles or
Don't you dare fucking say the Chiefs. What is wrong with you?
Can you imagine?
No,
Chris
I can't.
Jones,
No, I
George
can't.
Karlaftis,
I can.
and
He's not.
Myles Garrett.
I'm giving Karlaftis to the Browns, and I'm saying thank you so much for all you've done. You're going to Cleveland, and we're just gonna
Wait,
upgrade.
you would? So
You're
you
gonna
would
trade
swap out
Karlaftis to Cleveland?
Karlaftis?
for Myles Garrett. Yes.
Oh, you totally just fucked that guy's career.
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, but
Hey,
Karlaftis
you are
is a lot
clearly
cheaper
not the
right
owner that I liked.
You think
Clearly.
you think Veach wouldn't do that deal?
Oh no, I mean I'm just saying.
You
I
don't
know.
think Veach?
You can't have any of
Veach,
my
if
players.
Veach was looking around, going, "Listen, Patrick, we're not going to bring you. We're not going to bring you up to the highest paid quarterback this year because we just won 3 in a row. We're going to bump your pay a little bit, but we're going to get you Myles Garrett, and we're going to pair him with Chris Jones."
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Will the
give
league
you,
let that happen? No, they won't. Even the league will go, "Fuck you, Andy. Go away."
I want to give you for sure 2 other teams if this is going to happen. By the way, I'm with Boone. Cleveland fans, this is just it sucks that this happens and that it's been 30 years if you
Can
count.
you blame
the
him
gap.
though? Can
No,
you blame him?
not at all.
Think of all the
No.
all-pro seasons he's had, and he's got nothing to show for it, right? And then he turns around and sees this massive dysfunctional team every day, and he's like, "Dude, I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna lose my sanity." It's terrible.
Let me
I love
start
the
with
saying.
this.
I love the saying in his letter. It wasn't supposed to be Cleveland to Canton. I was like, first of all, love that you're just giving yourself the gold jacket
Oh yeah,
already. Like,
definitely ding him.
love
he's
that
not.
you're
Ding him for the
like,
self-suck.
oh, dude, that was a bit. That's the first thing, self suck, right?
yeah.
But like for me, it was just like, man, you really you are all about winning right now. Like you're already I already have a Hall of Fame career. Like screw it,
Hey,
it's time to
that's-
go win a Super Bowl. It's like, oh, all right, gold jacket.
Yeah, I mean he's not wrong. He's like if his career ended today, he would not have to. It would.
Dude,
he'd
you know,
be a first
you know who I
ballot.
feel like he is? I feel like he's oh my god, his name just totally escaped me. Defensive end for the Bills.
Bruce Smith.
Yeah.
I mean Bruce Smith
feel-
also had
like dominating,
15
right?
years of
I
dominance.
agree. He played a lot, but dude, no, I'm not to say that Myles Garrett isn't going to continue playing, but he's had a dominant career and never won the Super Bowl. And it's like, eventually
Never went to the
those guys
playoffs.
lose their mind. Well, they went last year, but they probably
Oh,
knew we
yeah.
weren't going far, right?
That's
Like
right.
they're
They
like
went
Joe
one time.
Flacco. Oh,
They
good
beat,
luck.
didn't they beat the Steelers? I think in a playoff game too. I mean I think he has 1 playoff win,
2
but-
games, 1 win.
but no trips. So the first team I would circle and some of the I'm guessing he would be interested more in a 4-3 defense, right? Because that's what Cleveland's
yeah.
run. So if you start with some of the 4-3 teams that are competitive,
Say
have
it.
cap space,
Say it.
the Commanders, the wave that they're riding right now with Jaden Daniels, they were like mid-pack in pressure rate, sack numbers as a team.
I don't know that they're a 4-3 though. I think they're a 3-4.
With Dan Quinn?
Yeah, it's not. I think
It's
their-
more under.
It's
more,
like their
it's-
D line that they have. They're more.
They
Can
kind of
he-
show it's like a 3-down structure, but they shift it over so it looks
like a
like a
35.
4-down structure.
So
Semantics.
can he play in a different
Yes.
structure like
Yes.
that? Is
Yeah,
my,
he can play the outside. He played
And
the
if
will.
I'm Dan Quinn, I'd be like, "What do you want to do?" Right?
We're gonna go 4-3.
Do you want to go? Do you want to put
Build
your
it up.
hand in the dirt? Do you want to
Wanna do
stand
it?
up? Like, what do you want to do, Mr. Garrett?
Yeah. Another
No,
one.
you're right.
and-
You're right, Mackie. They're a 4-3.
Okay. I mean they're all kind of hybrid-ish
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
2025.
Get. Don't ding Mackey.
That's right.
Check
You think
Mackey.
think I
Is
don't
that a-
know
is that a
my
false bell,
defensive
too?
personnel.
Is that 2 of them?
Don't you check Mackey?
Is it a false bell?
The
There are 2
second
things.
team that would be terrifying. But if I am the Detroit Lions right now,
Oh yeah, that's the
and
one I
I've
wanted
got
you to say.
I've got 8 draft picks in this upcoming draft. I think they have full allotment in 2026 and they have 44 million. They have top 10 cap space. They've done a good job managing their books. 44 million in cap space. Imagine Aiden Hutchinson coming back from injury
Oh god.
and you trade hell. I mean, they're in a spot where they blew a 17-point lead in the NFC title game 2 years ago. They blew home field advantage #1 seed. What's the next chess move to get everyone fired up again? Let's push this rock back up the hill. imagine trading 2 first-round picks, going full Rams basically,
Yeah.
and putting Aiden Hutchinson and Myles Garrett on that defensive line.
Is Zadarius
as the
going to
edge
stay
rush.
too? Is Zadarius still there
Sure,
for another
if
year?
he wants to.
I
Yeah.
mean, he'd have to take a bit of a pay cut.
Oh, absolutely.
But I mean, at this point in his career, he's probably more chasing a ring than a bag, anyways. Right? I mean, he's gotten paid by Cleveland now. He got paid by the Vikings. He got paid by the Packers. Like he's been paid, but now he's going to look around and go, "How much fun would it be to rush in a NASCAR package with me, Myles, and Aiden? Have fun with that NFC North offensive
Be
lines."
terrifying. Yeah.
It would be.
And then I'll float one more at you, and there's a bajillion others you could probably talk about. And this, you'd have to tell me, this might truly be just a scheme misfit. But I think if I'm this team, I would try to figure it out. If you right now are the Buffalo Bills, and you've got 35-year-old Von Miller, who's not what he was when you signed that contract, you can get out. You can't get out from all of it, but you could save some cap space by saying goodbye to Von Miller. Again, what is your next move? You continue to run into the same wall time after time after time. Well, if you added Myles Garrett to that defense,
He'll take that wall down.
would that make everyone feel like, okay, now we thought it was last year, but
Right.
now we've got the horses to really do this thing and finally
How many draft picks
Beat
do
the
they have
Chiefs.
this year?
let me check here.
Because that's
By the way, Bills were bottom half of the league in sacks last year. Good defense, but kind of a
yeah. I mean, 'cause
front running
they
defense.
They don't really have the ass kicker like AJ Epinesa and Gregory Rousseau are very solid defensive ends, right? They're just solid players. They get up the field, they set the edge. But Vaughn has, I mean, I love Brandon Beane, right? I think Brandon Beane's an incredible GM. But this contract baffled me when he signed him back in 2022 for 6 years for 120. Like they're paying Von Miller the same amount of money that Myles Garrett's getting right now for not even remotely the return, right? And they paid him coming off the Achilles now. It's been a couple of years, right? They do have an out this year. They can get out this year from Vaughn's contract with only a $15 million cap hit.
Yeah.
Right. So I do think that if you that's a good. It's just a matter of how much they're willing because they don't have a lot of weapons offensively. They need to draft some.
Well, so
it really just
here's
depends
your.
what you have
I got a
draft
team
pick
too.
wise.
I got a team
Hold on.
too.
This is what makes Buffalo even more interesting. They have a treasure trove of draft picks. They have 20 draft picks over the next 2 drafts, including 3 picks in the top 62 this year. So they have a first and 2 seconds this year. I mean, the Diggs trade, and then they have a first and 2 seconds next year. Plus, they've got a bunch of middle round picks like 4ths and 5ths. So they could pretty easily trade 2 first round picks or a first and 2 seconds and still have
Still have a lot of picks.
a first left or a couple seconds left over. And they'd have to find a way to make it work cap wise. But just, man, like imagine the Bills, the Commanders, the Lions
I got
adding
one for you.
that dude.
How about one? Ready? What about Philly?
Stop. No.
Why would Howie Roseman not?
What they don't have enough
They don't have
freaks up
enough.
front right now.
What's their number one thing? We don't blitz. We need the best pass rushers. One is about to hit the market. What else do we need on offense? We're pretty fucking
it's
good.
fair.
We're pretty fucking good, and we have $20 million
But they
in
got
cap
to
space.
pay those good players.
Not
Cam
yet, you
Jurgens.
don't.
Cam Jurgens is up. He was just a Pro Bowler, right?
Cam's already up.
Yeah, he was a 2020 draft guy. This is year 4 for him, I believe.
They'd have to make. I mean, the Eagles are right now, according to Over the Cap, they have $13.8 million in effective cap space for next year. There's always ways you can clear and move guys around.
Oh, absolutely. I
For a
read that
player
they have
like
18.
Myles Garrett.
Where'd you read that? Because I have it over the cap. Says that they have. Yeah,
So it's 18 in total cap space, 13.8 in effective cap space. When you account for like, they have, you have to fill your roster up with a certain number of players. So it's
right.
You don't always have as much cap space as you think. But to your point, if they lose the Super Bowl and they're left thinking, man, we're just like,
He got us.
we're
again.
one player away. It's kind of the way the Bills feel, right? God, we're
Oh,
just
dude.
that one player away.
I feel like a lot of teams feel like that, dude. The Vikings could have said that. The Packers could have said that. Like everyone's like, we're just one away.
Yeah.
But
well, there
this
was. I
is-
saw some commentary. I think it was ESPN Radio, a couple places saying, what JJ McCarthy for Myles Garrett, who says no. Well, Cleveland would love that because, all right, we're gonna get a franchise quarterback potentially on a minimum wage NFL contract. But the Vikings already have, they have a pretty loaded edge rusher room, so I don't know that. Well, the Packers make more sense than the Vikings.
So Juergens isn't up, but he hit all his accelerators this year, so his cap hit gets up to 5. So there's a good chance that if they love him, they'll try and extend him to get his cap hit down, and they'll just push it all to the signing bonus so they have more cap room.
There you go. Bring in Myles.
Boom. So, man, it's going to be – I love how the NBA came in for a couple days during Super Bowl week, and they're like, we're going to steal some headlines. We're going to just have the craziest, dumbest trade in the history of the league. And the NFL's like, oh, really? Okay. Myles Garrett, Cooper Kupp. Let's write some press releases. Let's take the news cycle back here. On the Tuesday of the Super Bowl,
I couldn't believe he was just so. I don't know if I've ever seen a publicly, good breakup like you said. I can't think of a time a player was like, I love everything, but get me the fuck out of here, right? Just so public. It wasn't behind closed doors. It wasn't leaked through a source, right? It wasn't Ian Rappaport. It wasn't Tom Pelissaro, right? It was my Twitter account. I went on Canva and I created this outline thing and
Canva for the win. Let's go.
Signed with love, Myles Garrett, right? Just such a bizarre way to just. I wonder if he just woke up on Tuesday and he was like, I think I want out of here. Yeah. Right? I wonder if he just ran it. I think from the agent perspective, I'm like, I hope you ran that by your agent. Right, I hope Nicole Lynn over at Clutch didn't wake up to a phone call from the GM of the Browns like, hey, everything okay over there?
What are you talking about?
Everything's great. Your client just sent out a tweet saying that he's requesting to be traded.
Dude,
terrible phone call.
I mean, it's not that it's terrible. It's just, here's what people forget. When you have this much leverage and you are unhappy, there's only one thing to do. And I think that's one of the things that, you can continue to go to work and get your ass kicked, but then eventually I feel like that would end your career sooner because you're like, dude, I'm doing this for absolutely nothing. For a city that loves us, but an owner that doesn't know what he's doing. We don't have any offense. We can't figure this out ever. What's he supposed to do? I guess I don't understand. Everyone's kind of mad, and I'm like, why would you be mad?
Dude, and I know this happens to Cleveland. It happened with LeBron, too. You feel like, man,
maybe
some
that's
fans
why
feel like
so mad.
They're leaving us, they're betraying us. But you know what? At some point, if LeBron, now he came back and won a title, but LeBron put in 7 years and they never found a sidekick for him. And so maybe the way he announced it, he goes on national TV and says, I'm taking my talents to South Beach, Miami. It's all right, let's calm down on that.
Lame.
But
it was really lame.
But it's okay, you can't find him a running mate for 7 years. And for Myles Garrett, it's you can't find him a quarterback that's not a creepazoid with a 5-year guaranteed contract. You can't get to the playoffs with a loaded roster around him once in a while. Right. So I don't. After a certain amount of time, the loyalty thing, dude, his career could be over in one play. Right. He wants to play. You know where he made the decision? He's watching the Bills and the Chiefs throw haymakers in the AFC Championship game. And you guys are competitors. Hell, you played in the league. How do you watch that as one of the best players of your generation and not think, I need to be out there? Yeah. I need a taste of this on championship weekend.
100%.
So, absolutely. I'm all for it, dude. I think it's great. I hope he goes to the Lions. I think that'd be awesome.
I hope he goes to the Bills.
Let's go Lions.
I'll take Commanders. Give me Commanders. Okay, hey, Cooper Kupp. Next mic here, Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. Out of nowhere.
So the Rams, his he was paid based on a certain, it was a couple, 3 years ago that he had one of the great seasons in NFL history, and he kind of gets paid on the tail end of that. There's been injuries, and then Puka Nacua came in and just took the spot as the number one receiver. And also now Cooper Kupp is on the wrong side of 30 years old. His cap hit is over $25 million, I want to say $26, $28 million. So the Rams are trying to figure this thing out. And they apparently told him, hey, thanks for the memories. Thanks for the near 2,000-yard season, but we're going to move forward here and try to clear some cap space. So here are, according to at least one of the odds-making websites, here are the handful of teams most likely to either trade for or sign Cooper Kupp if he gets cut. Steelers, Bengals, Commanders, Patriots, Chargers. Broncos also on here.
Ooh, the Chargers.
Steelers, Bengals, Commanders,
before
Patriots, Chargers, Broncos.
Before we have this conversation, we have to determine, is Cooper Kupp washed? Like, because that's the thing. We all can have this conversation here and think that, oh, the Cooper Kupp of old is still in there, right? We've seen it. Or is it just the fact that he's old and Father Time has finally caught up with Cooper Kupp? And is he not going to be what we think he's going to be when we sign him? Because that's going to reflect of what teams want him, right? I mean, the Bengals are probably looking at this going, man, it'd be great to get Cooper Kupp. It's like, is he the complement to Jamar Chase that T. Higgins was? And I mean, maybe I know we're getting him for cheaper than T. Higgins is, but I couldn't understand what happened to him this year because he just literally disappeared, right? There was no production. I mean, the last few games of the year, I think he had like 3 catches for, I mean, I just don't understand. Is it because he wasn't getting open? Is it because he's old? Or is it because Puka Nacua took over? Like, what do we think? I tend to lean towards Father Time has finally caught up with Cooper Kupp.
He was hurt a lot of the year too, right? And he's like 32.
But he's been dinged.
I know he is, and that's you make a great
It's
point.
been 3 years of injuries and
say the Bengals do go, hey, this is
31.
Our guy.
He's 31. He'll be 32 in June.
Unfortunately, you've crossed over the 30 mark, which means that in our minds, you've started to go down. Yep. But at the same time, I agree with you, dude, because you have been hurt a lot this year. I mean, what was it, 3 years ago? Didn't he win the Triple Crown? Catches, touchdowns, and yards.
That was the year they won the Super Bowl, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then since then, I mean, you add Puka and you think that this is going to just go crazy, right? But then he's not there to get hurt. I think one of the things is that Jay said it, like, if I'm the Bengals, I'm looking at this going, hey, this guy's great, and this is going to be great, but is he going to be on the field? We already have a history of not starting well. If this guy's not ready to go week 1, this is not something we want. I mean, I do like the Chargers just because they have absolutely no receivers right now, and it's like anything will help them. And at the same time, it's not so much of a loss for them because they're looking at it like, hey, we added a great player possibly. We're hoping that he makes it through this. We hope that he helps this offensive room. We hope that he helps the receiver room. These guys guide them a little bit. We draft some more young players like Ladd McConkey, and then hopefully they can start to follow Cooper, and then we can be like, hey, Coop, thanks for everything. Peace. But, yeah, I'm starting to feel the same way, Jay. Once you get over 30 and you're missing all these games, and then once a team says immediately, they're like, hey, we think it's going way down quickly. So we're just going to roll out of this. And it's not to say he wasn't a great player, but eventually everything catches up with everyone. I just found it so eye-opening when they were like, we're looking for a trade immediately. I was like, Jesus, way not to hide it from this poor guy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say, obviously, he was the number 1 receiver in the NFL 3-4 years ago. He's no longer a number 1 on any team that aspires to contend. I think the question is, can he be, to your point about the Bengals, for instance, if T. Higgins is going to sign somewhere else in free agency, looks like he is Cooper Kupp a viable number 2 weapon on a team that aspires to go deep in the playoffs or have a high-octane offense?
I mean, I was just looking up, like, statistic-wise, who he was. I mean, this year he was basically Tyler Lockett, Robert Woods, Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
I mean,
and by the way, there's value for like
value,
a Thielen or a Lockett as like
but
a
I feel
third
like
guy.
those guys are threes. Right, you're talking
they're
those
for sure threes.
Those are wide receiver threes, right? And so your pay is going to reflect wide receiver 3, right? And so, I mean, I think about a team like Carolina, right? Would they want to bring in another guy like this?
Kupp and Thielen on the same.
2 white
Right?
receivers,
2
Jesus.
white boys out there,
32 years
They're
old.
really
but,
going
but
crazy.
you're talking about veteran wide receivers. I think that you bring Cooper Kupp in with a young quarterback, right? Because you know he's going to be in the positions he needs to be in. He can help a young receiver room, right? I think you almost bring him in as like the coach on the field.
Patriots.
Yeah, Drake May, right? Bring him in with Vrabel, right? You bring him in, you have him be a coach on the field because that room's a mess and has been a mess for a couple years now from the wide receiver position. So, I mean, you try and bring him in and try and be like, listen, Booty, you listen here to Cooper Kupp about what he did and how he prepares and how he studies. You just do what he does, but then you're way better of an athlete right now, so then you go catch the football, right? Like, mimic him off the field, not on the field, off the field, and then you go catch the football.
Yep.
I think any legitimate contender, unless he falls price-wise drastically, and you're looking at, I don't know, 5 a year, maybe for a guy like that, I just can't see a legitimate contender wasting cap space like that.
So the Lockett, it's funny you brought up Lockett. I brought his name up we talked about this on Purple Daily yesterday, and Lockett, I think it was after they had drafted Jackson Smith and Jigba, They had DK Metcalf, and it was like pretty obviously he was going to settle in as a number 3 guy, but still like pretty productive, could flirt with 1,000 yards, which is kind of where Cooper Kupp is at now. And he still got a 2-year, I think it was $29 million deal at like the tail end of him being a 2 and transitioning into a number 3. So, fair, that's a far cry from the $20+ million he's making right now per year.
To be fair, they love Tyler Lockett up there. He's like the official realtor of the Seattle Seahawks. Like, I'm not kidding you.
Like his side gig or something.
If you go look, it's like Tyler Lockett's company is the official realtor company of the Seahawks. Like,
need a third down conversion? He's your guy. Need to buy a house up in Ballard? Talk to Tyler Lockett.
It's like it's a TV timeout in the stadium, and all of a sudden it's like, hey guys, I'm Tyler Lockett.
Looking for a house?
I buy everything.
Is that the guy down there making $15 million? What the fuck is going on?
Sell your car to Joe.com. Right?
Hey, I will say this. His fall kind of came quickly. Like we said it. He was the number 1 receiver 3 years ago, and now all of a sudden everyone's like, wait a minute, what?
Well, he missed the first 5 weeks of the year this year with a hamstring.
Yeah.
Right. And then the year before it was, I think, another soft tissue injury. And when you start getting hurt like that, you miss training, right? It starts to compound, right? And when you're that age and you run as much as Cooper Kupp runs and you're known for your explosiveness and out of cuts and all that stuff, it's just one of those things that's hard to get back in front of, right? Because you're constantly playing catch up from the injury perspective of, okay, this hamstring's not right. Now I got to make sure my other hamstring doesn't get overloaded, so I pull that one, or this knee's still coming off the ACL, or whatever it is. It just seems like once you reach a certain point, Alex, you know this too, like you can't get back in front of the injury. Right?
Nope.
You're constantly chasing the health. Right? I got to get healthy. I got to get healthy. I got to get healthy. And you go through 1 year of that, then 2 years of that. And then eventually the body's like, you just ain't going to be healthy, man. I don't know what to tell you. And when you go out there on Sundays and you're not fully healthy going against a 21-year-old or a 22-year-old that's in the prime of his peak physical prowess, it's not going to work out well.
It's not going to work at all.
Right.
How about this, though? What about Washington? Do we like that idea?
It's interesting.
Put him with Scary Terry.
Because they got Scary Terry making big plays down the field.
Zacchaeus had a good year.
Zacchaeus, Tamani Brown. We got some real playmakers out here that if you come in, it's like, hey, we got a young cornerback. We'd love you to be.
But what receiver is he? Is he even wide receiver 3 on that team? From a talent
maybe he's not, but maybe it just adds another piece to them that they're like, hey, this is another great weapon that we have for a young
I don't think he
quarterback.
wants to go somewhere and be. I don't know. I think that doesn't want to be a shelf life guy right now. I feel like he probably thinks he has a couple good years left in him.
Jay,
right?
You're his agent. Talk to him.
Alex, what happened when you left Minnesota and people told you, listen, you're broken. You can't play
way
anymore.
different.
No, it's not, dude.
I had bones going the wrong way. People were like, you can't get away from this, dude. You're not going to escape this. And I was like, I will. They were
right?
Like,
that's what I mean. You don't think Cooper Kupp has a little bit of the, like, I could still be the Triple Crown? We all do.
No,
we're all
no.
a little crazy.
No, I don't think so.
A little stupid in our brains.
Dude, you're playing. No, you're
that's
talking
Palms.
about going
Wow.
against.
That
listen,
was as good a Palms as I've seen. Sensitive.
Listen,
the Palms are still up, by the way.
You cannot tell me that Cooper Kupp in his mind is like, that's right. I'm going to destroy.
There we go. I got Ox to wake up now. Just poke a little bit about what happened in 2017.
Couldn't get away from him, man. Way different. He's talking about soft tissue. They were like, boom, bones are gone. We're not sure where the fuck they went. And I was like, well, we'll figure it out. We'll get it. Like that was different. I don't honestly think that Cooper Kupp woke up today and goes, I'm going to be the Triple Crown winner this year. I'm telling you, if he did that, he's just dumb. That's not happening. There are way too many young receivers that are going to fucking cook you. That's why I'm looking at this like same thing that Myles Garrett is. I got the bag. Who's going to win this? Whose team do I?
Is Naylor a free agent?
Jalen Naylor?
Yeah.
He's, I think, under team control for one more year.
What do you think about,
there's a lot of connection
Cooper
there.
Kupp? Cooper Kupp being the third wide receiver for the Vikings.
Look at Mackey. Now he's awake.
I'm glad you asked.
I'm glad you asked me that because I did some research.
Puts his boner away. Oh, finally time. It's time.
puts it away. I'm going to put it on the table.
Just feel it hit the table as I bring up the Vikings.
So here, one quick thing on this, and then we can wrap this, and we'll do our
we got
Ben
time.
Johnson.
We got nothing but
too.
time. You woke my ass up at 5:30. You better get a freaking episode.
You guys
go.
So here's the thing about the Vikings. You got Justin Jefferson on right now. Jamar Chase is going to surpass him, but he is the most expensive non-quarterback in the NFL right now. You aren't paying Jordan Addison. Now Addison, first round pick. You've got him under team control. He's a first round pick.
First round pick.
He's got the 5 years. So he's had 2 really good seasons. He's a really good number 2 wide receiver. He's also been arrested 2 straight off seasons. He has not been trustworthy. He falls asleep on freeways. He drives too fast.
Let's give him another chance.
His dog was sick. His dog was sick. You
So
back
sick.
off of that.
He's very talented, but you're not paying him and Justin Jefferson when it comes time in a couple years. So you have a couple years to either now you don't want to put J.J. McCarthy in and not have a viable number 2 receiver. But my question would be, are there some desperate teams on this same list, by the way, Pittsburgh, the Chargers, the Patriots, that they've got their quarterback in the case of the Chargers and the Patriots, but they need a weapon. Could you go get a 2nd and a 4th or a 1st and a 5th or something for Jordan Addison and then bring in Cooper Kupp for either a 6th round pick or wait till they cut him? And now he becomes kind of Hawkinson's your number 2 in that scenario as a tight end. Could you get draft capital for Addison and then bring in Cooper Kupp, who Kevin O'Connell was the offensive coordinator,
Right.
his best season? They love Cooper Kupp in that offensive coaching staff.
That's why
it's interesting
because I know that there's the Kupp KOC connection there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Kwesi will take Cooper Kupp on this contract. Right, and that's
No,
where,
it
and
has
that's
to
where
be
the trade.
restructured.
That's where the trade piece comes in. Like
He only has $5 million in guarantees left, anyways.
right?
So let's
the
redo
whole
it.
thing has to be redone. Right, throw this thing out the window, restructure it, and that is one where I could see him, Booney, going, "I want to reunite with my friends."
Yeah, I
Right,
agree.
like I want to go back, and the only question is now who's throwing me the football, right? And that's a whole nother can of worms that we can get into at another time. But you pair Cooper Kupp with Jefferson and Addison and Hawkinson. I mean, let's not make any bones about it. KOC's not running the football. Like, he's allergic to the run game, right? He can't.
They need to lean a little more into that, but that's also
He
a
can't
whole
do it.
conversation.
He
for
can't do
another
it,
show.
dude. It's in his DNA. He has like 2 runs in a row, and he just starts like itching behind the ear, like deep over, deep cross, deep over, deep cross, right? Like, and so what's he's gonna go get. I mean, as much as Naylor was great, I think Kupp is like a savvy vet upgrade over Naylor. But I do think Naylor still has a role on this team. But I think that's that reuniting of KOC and Cooper Kupp, I can see being Kupp agreeing, hey, let's go there, right? Let's just go there. I'll restructure my deal. The question is, Mackey, what are you giving up for Cooper Kupp? What do you think his trade value is if you're giving something up for him?
It's not. It's
because we only have 4 draft picks. That's the other issue. We have 4 draft picks this year.
I think the Rams, just because you'd have to take on right now, whoever would trade for Cooper Kupp would take on 2 years and about $40 million. Now, it's a small portion guaranteed, but it's still like it's a marker. You're taking on that contract, and you have to figure out a way to restructure it. So there is risk involved. I think this winds up with Kupp getting cut by the Rams. I think they're floating this out there now to give themselves a month to see if somebody will bite.
Well,
but
they
it
did
feels
it
like
right before the combine, right? Because now
Combine,
every combine meeting, they're meeting with every single agent. Like, hey,
correct.
We're trying to get him out,
and it's going to wind up likely with him being cut, and then he'll sign a market reflective deal based on his current place in the NFL as like a number 2.5 wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
2.5.
I mean, he kind of is, right? He has 1,000 yards in a few years.
That's a good way to put it.
No, that is a good way to put it. That would be scary if he came
His
here.
base this year is, 12.5 is his base this year. No one's paying that.
And you'd have to, you're not,
No
because
one's
that
paying
doesn't
that.
kick in until essentially the end of training camp. So you got
Yep.
time to restructure. But,
Yep.
So, all right, boys, we're gonna pause here, and we're gonna give you a Ben Johnson creativity film breakdown also on the feeds. So be on the lookout for that. Jeremiah, Alex, Phil, the O-line committee, click that like button and the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. over on Apple and Spotify. Give us a 5-star rating and a positive review to help us keep growing this thing. Over 30,000 subs in less than 2 years. We appreciate you guys. This is an offensive line lifestyle podcast.